accomplish lunch, we need to open up, but before we leave, reclose this row, that far row over there, 2 rows at row cover, and I'm trying to think if there's another row that we'll need. I think there's enough food for us right there for a salad. We might go get some spinach down in another row, but if you'll just, I'm going to go get a bucket to harvest into, but if you'll open up this row, just on one side, come remove the staples and flip the fabric off, okay? The floating row cover one, and then the far one over there with the floating row cover on it too, okay? I am going to go get a bucket to harvest. Okay, and everybody knows that in a garden like this, you walk in the paths and not on the beds, right? Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I was. She was patting on top to her for the past 3 years.
It's one of the rare keys and code is 2226. Harvesting, okay? And the most important one for this time of year is that it's very tempting to think, I want to harvest on a rainy day so my beans are good and cooked. And that's still a fine decision right now. Pretty intuitive. But by the early part of December, it is no longer wise. By the 10th of December or so, there's not enough light in the sky on a cloudy day for your plants to utilize all their nitrogen. And that's going to be the case until about the middle of February. Okay, if they don't utilize their nitrogen, it ends up in the form as nitrates. When you eat them, you could have nitrosamines. In northern Europe, where there's even less light and more cold and over-fertilized greens fields, parents who fed their babies like ground up greens killed them.
Oh my God.
Yeah, blue baby syndrome, too much nitrogen in their blood, they couldn't get enough oxygen. You know, and that's probably where they got aware of that potential. So just know that in the dead of winter, or it's what Elliot Coleman calls Persephone's time, you want to harvest at the end of a sunny day. By the end of a sunny day, no problem, it's fine. You know, do I do that always? No. The truth is, once in a while, I'm dying for a salad, but it's like eating sausage. You know, it's like eating something that's not good for you. You know, drinking bad beer. It's the same. You're getting the same stuff. You know, a little bit of leeway. We all, you know, take our chances here and there, but as a general practice, take it the rest of the time, okay? Don't harvest in the morning, don't harvest on cloudy days. Yeah, see, and you may not always be able to do that for the school. Yeah, and that's only from the 10th of December to the middle of February. The other thing which doesn't fit into the harvesting part but fits into the subject is don't over-fertilize with nitrogen in the winter. Go lighter on nitrogen for 2 reasons. You don't want your plants to be too tender, and you don't want too many nitrates, you know? Feeding them the same things you feed them all the time. We basically do compost with alfalfa meal, feather meal, and things like that. We just back off on the feather meal and the alfalfa meal. We use less of it, probably about 50% less, you know, half as much. Okay, this is probably, everybody knows this. Most of these plants aren't suited to what I want to show you here. But the most productive way, maybe not the most cost-effective way, but trying to make money, because it's more labor-intensive and there's more issues about cleaning it and being legal and all that. But the most productive way to harvest lettuce and other salad greens is to do cut and come again. Take the whole head, cut it to within an inch or 2 of the bottom, and you get way more production. If you take the outer leaves off, the message to the plant is, you're in trouble, go to seed. If you cut it to the ground, the message is, start over again, buddy. You know, and you get way more production. You can get sometimes 3 or 4 cuttings in the winter. One of my favorite lettuces, yes.
How many inches?
1 to 2. You know, it's not precise. What is it there, Richard? What did I do? Maybe closer to 3.
Yeah.
1 to 3. I'm easy. You know.
Is that true in summer too?
Yeah, it works really well. Way more productive. Yeah. You might just get 2 cuttings in the summer, but you get more than 1. You know. And in the summer, it's great because people say I can't grow lettuce; it's too bitter. You can just keep eating baby lettuce. You know, you cut it and you're eating baby lettuce, and you only get 2 cuttings before it starts to turn bitter, but you can keep successions coming. And before they ever get near bitter, you've cut them and eaten them. You know, so it works really well. Something that is when you harvest, be aware of nature's gifts. One of the best crops in this bed is probably this weed. I don't know if you know it, but it is an important weed to eat, really good for you. I one time walked into a garden center and couldn't believe they were selling chickweed killer. I was like, why would you want to kill chickweed, you know? Anyways, we're not going to do cotton coming as much here because these are all heads. It doesn't work as well once they're a head. So then I'm just going to cut some heads for lettuce, and then we're going to go over to the other thing and do that. Now, know that this time of year, even if you're harvesting in the sun, it's going to hold up a lot better, so you don't have to worry as much about it because it's had a cool night. It's just not as hot, you know. It's going to work fine.
Yeah, why are you cutting these all the way at the base
Because
instead of 3 inches up?
once they're a full head, they don't come back very well.
Okay.
You know, they might come back slightly, but we have tons of lettuce in and we don't need that, and it's easier to deal with up there as a head. You know, I'm grateful for heads right now, given our time constraint. You know?
So what variety is this?
We're growing. We got Paris Island romaine and Troutback or Forellenschloss romaine.
Spotted one.
If you were going to grow a romaine this time of year, I would recommend Winter Density or Rouge de Verre. Both of those are excellent winter ones. But years ago, I gave a talk, and everybody was like, "You need to write a book." And I covered how every lettuce worked in every little niche of the winter, right? And I had it all so figured out. And then I learned that if I have the row cover and the plastic, it doesn't matter; they all do fine. And so I have forgotten this whole book because it's no longer relevant. You know, it was relevant when I didn't know that I could just keep the heat in with the row cover. I consider the row cover the blanket that you tuck your plants in with on a cold night. You know?
And what temperature do you do it at?
I don't bother to use row cover, and we'll talk more about this after lunch, until the temperatures are going below 25. If you've got the plastic on, that moderates the temperature enough up to then, and that's just to save work. If you're trying to maximize growth, you might pull the row cover over on a 40-degree night, because the plants will grow more if they've got a warm night, you know. But to me, it's just too much work, you know. So the row cover's in place. You'll see it on the other side over there, waiting for the cold night, you know. And then we'll just come and flip it over, and then you know, I do it below 25. The truth is, there have been times I haven't done it, and the damage wasn't very bad. So don't, you know, if your garden, let's say, is a half a mile away or something like my farm is, don't not go out there because you missed one night. Because you didn't lose your crop because you missed one night. You know, the odds are good that it'll still be fine. You know. What I'm wondering is, we have enough lettuce. Maybe one more.
Here's a good one down.
Okay, why is the plastic there in this material here? Because this bed's going to be done before it gets cold not to need the plastic. This is an earlier bed, and we're going to be finished with it. No. The row cover's only on this because we're not going to go that far. Anything you want to take into the winter should have the plastic.
Do you know, if they got to a certain temperature that you would need to take the plastic off so it wouldn't burn it, or?
Up in the 70s.
Really?
Yeah, this time of year the days aren't that long.
Yeah.
You know, they can handle it. I mean, if I had time today, I'd like to have the ends open and vent them. They'd be a little happier vented, you know.
Yeah.
But they're not. They don't look too unhappy, do they?
No, they look happy.
Yeah. And okay, why this class happened was because of what I saw happen in Burnsville, but it's happened here with these guys. It's a month ago that we put in tiny little baby white turnip plants. They were this big. And that's what they look like now.
Wow, a month ago?
Yes. It's like they're growing in the summer.
Yeah.
It's like you just drove down to like southern Georgia and planted a garden. You know? That's why I had to teach this. I was like, I got to teach these people this. It's like, you know, I know it, but I forget it till I see it. You know? And then you need to know that. Dasha just learned she can have her greens all winter, you know?
Can I ask you where you get the material you're using for the
How do you make these roll?
Okay, all that we're going to do after lunch, okay? Yeah, let's do lunch, okay? We're going to do one more harvest. We can make a much more elaborate lunch, but we don't have time. There's tons of other greens on there here we could put under it. We're just going to do this, and actually, if somebody looks down, yeah, we're going to go get that. But if somebody goes down further in there under the cover, you're going to find some kohlrabi.
Kohlrabi, I saw
Pull a
kale.
kohlrabi or two. Yeah, go ahead and close it up. Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Go ahead and close it up and then come on over here as quick as you can, okay?
Somebody over here. I like
Kohlrabi here. Okay, baby white turnips. Choice Greenhouse in Burnsville, North Carolina. The best place to buy this seed. About a third of the price of what Johnny's charges for Hukari.
Where do you buy this?
It's called White Lady Turnip from Troy's Greenhouse. It's on the resource sheet.
It's on here, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Those lettuces are on here too.
I think they are. Yeah. And we'll mention some more as we do that after lunch too. Okay, about one more turnip. Something I hadn't planned on putting in, but it's looking so pretty, I'll do it. It's a volunteer. Actually, it's one of my favorite greens, but it has very little commercial potential. This is Hansei Sai, I think it is. It's an oriental green you grow for its flowering shoot. We're just going to use a salad because there aren't enough flowering shoots right now, but it's a really nice green. And we'll throw it in there for some color. We're going to throw some tatsoi in. Okay, so tatsoi, actually, even though it's big, will come back if I cut it like I talked about. So I cut it right there. I should have cut it a little bit higher. That will probably come back, but it'll take longer. I'll cut another one and try and get it right. And how you get it right, P-A-T-S-O-I. How you get it right is to come to one, see where the rosette is, where the rosette goes into the base, and try and cut just above the smallest leaves.
Oh yeah, so you leave the center of leaf.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I just noticed that it doesn't matter with this because what I see in there is a little flower head. So it's going to bolt anyway. It's done, you know. By the way, I have a list of the hardiest plants, the ones that'll do best outside with no protection, and tatsoi is in that list. It's incredibly hardy. Mustard is another one that does incredibly well, and arugula is another one that does incredibly well. Okay, can you jam that into that bucket? Now we're going to get some arugula, and we're going to call that salad today. Well, there's many other things here we could do, but we don't have time to harvest them. I'm going to jump over here. If you walk on a bed and you're in John Jevons' garden, he will accuse you of a compaction infraction. Ed, can I step around you here? Great, thank you. This is arugula. Winter-grown arugula. It should be spectacular. I'll pass a piece around for people to taste. Just tear a little piece
Your
off.
standard variety?
Yeah, it is, but I have Gred Gross ice bread that I'm about to sew out. It's supposed to be able to take the cold totally.
This is the guy from Maryland.
Yeah. Isn't that great?
Yeah.
Probably can't get too much of that in there, right?
No, well, I can take
Even Star.
It's kind of hot.
Yeah, it is kind of hot, but it's sweet too, right?
it. Yeah, it is sweet.
Hot and sweet, yeah.
Best thing to do with that arugula is you put it in a bowl and then pour your soup over it. It kind of wilts it a little bit and it takes the heat off.
Yeah, on the other hand, I like the hot and the sweet.
Yeah, I'm a big cayenne guy.
most of their money. Okay, we're going to head on up to the
They sell it as a blend. They sell
Terra place, and I'm going to wash these. Maybe I might get a couple of volunteers and show them how to wash it while I talk to you all while we're waiting, because we have no time to spare. So, let's head up to Terra. By the way,
Do you want us to recover these now?
yes, but I want to just say, the building is gorgeous and feel free to look in, but because we want to try and keep it clean for the preschool, only the people handling the food are going to go inside, okay? All right. Okay.
The new we just got up here?
It's these here. If you don't have a handout, then make sure you give me your email address and I will send it to you when I get back up into my house, okay? And meanwhile, I'll try to reference where I'm looking at on the handout, okay? So the first thing on this handout, by the way, at the very top is my address that I'm fine for people to contact me with, but don't give it to other people. My give to other people address is patrickfatall@hotmail.com. That's the one that if I get a virus, I can just give up on that account, you know? So, But you can contact me at this one too. Okay, the first one is Dr. McBug, Dr. Rich McDonald, and that is a site that has tons of wonderful information on beneficial insects and beneficial insectary plants. A lot of the pictures and the list and stuff are stuff that I gave to Richard that we created together. I highly recommend that site for insect questions, okay? The next one is one of my favorite seed catalogs, Fedco Seed. It's got a bunch of the seeds that we're going to talk about today, like the Even Star Farm seeds, which have been bred to take more cold. And it's another good thing about that catalog is it's one of the catalogs that gives much more information. Part of why I get to be somebody who gives talks is because I'm a compulsive reader. If I'm not doing something else and there's something to read, it could be the label of a can. It doesn't matter what it is. Whatever it is, I'm reading it. And I read catalogs from cover to cover. And indeed, some of my best tips have come from catalogs. You want to know, like from Nickel Seed Catalog, they were trying to get it so you weren't worried about the fact that if you grew Crystal Hat chicory, it would be bitter. So they said simply rinse it under warm water and all trace of bitterness goes. Not true. Still bitter, but not nearly as bitter, And you got lettuce in the summer, and it's bitter. You can't quite stand to eat it, but you could 2 days ago. Rinse it under warm water. You might get another week out of being able to eat it. Meanwhile, get your succession in the ground. Grow some new lettuce, and I got that from Nickel Seed Catalog. Of course, that's not the only way to get it. 15 years after I first learned it. Good job. Oh, the bugs?
Yeah, they're everywhere.
Okay. Just dump them over the side. They'll have a soft landing and be happy.
Let's see those bugs.
Okay. Anyway, that's an example of what you can learn. There's just incredible things you learn from the catalog, so look at the catalog. Read the catalogs. Wintertime, the perfect thing to do is just curl up by the fire and read the catalogs, And my two catalogs I use the most are Fedco and Johnny's. Both of them happen to have worker-owner type relationships, which I'm prejudiced towards. But they also are excellent catalogs. Really committed to quality, committed to not doing GMOs, committed to supporting sustainable agriculture. And incredibly innovative. Some of the best varieties around come from those catalogs. Johnny's actually has little symbols that say they're winter hardy plants take the cold better. That can be useful. But I think by the end of today, you'll know the ones that do anyways. And you'll have the techniques to help ones that don't take the cold as well as others do just fine. Okay.
Do you have an opinion on Baker Creek?
Baker Creek I love, especially for squash. Because vine borers are such an issue. Machada is the easiest squash to grow, and they've got an incredible selection of machadas, including Blackfoot Sioux, which Gred thought was Blackfoot Indian, Sioux Indian, but no, it's Japanese. Blackfoot Sioux, F-U-T-S-U.
Blackfoot Sioux.
Yeah, right, yeah. But yeah, I think Baker Creek's a great catalog. I tend to mostly order squash from them. They also have amazing eggplant collections. I love him in his cowboy boots and his hat and stuff too.
Yeah,
He's
they
a cool
seem
dude.
good.
Yeah.
Somebody complained to me before that they didn't want to support him because they didn't feel like they were giving benefit back to the communities where they were obtaining some of their seed sources. But
I don't know.
that's why I wondered if you had
Great
if you heard
selection.
anything like that. Yeah, they have a great catalog.
That they may be ripping off the culture they get their seeds from.
Yeah, they like travel around the world.
Well, they work hand in hand with Southern Exposure.
Yeah,
And
and
so-
Seed Savers also.
Yeah, so
Yeah, I think it's probably a false charge.
That's what I think. I think they're pretty
Are holding
reputable.
up to a standard that's a little bit too high.
I like
They're
them.
doing lots of good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I like them a lot. I think they're cool.
I think they're excellent. I highly recommend them. They're not on my list. Sorry.
No, it's a.
I can't put everything on the list. I would have to give you too much paper. Too many dead trees. Okay. Territorial is the only company that sends out a winter catalog. You get on their list, and sometime in the summer they're going to send you a catalog just aimed at winter plants. Excellent catalog. I highly recommend it. ATRA's been defunded thanks to our current Congress. Support ATRA. ATRA is an incredible resource. And every time they ask for support with Congress, please give it and ask all your friends to give it. They're one of the best things our government used to do. Seven Springs Farm Supply, I'm sorry those two addresses run together. but I think you can figure out how to keep them separate. They are a local supplier of a lot of the amendments and stuff you need, row cover and things like that. If you want to really buy from them in a way that it's affordable, get on their mailing list and pay attention to when a truck is coming near you. Otherwise, the shipping will kill you. But they come here probably 4 times a year, and they warn you ahead of time. Yeah, they're in Floyd, Virginia. Yeah. But still, if you want to send a 50-pound bag from Floyd, Virginia to here by UPS, you'll spend more money on the shipping than you will on the product. You know. Soil food web. I don't have time to go into it, though it's hard to stop me. But the reason why organic production is so powerful and the food tastes so good and why it is our future is because of the information that comes from the lady that's the inspiration for this site, Dr. Elaning. And I highly recommend you visit the Soil Food website and see what they have on there. And if you ever see that she's talking somewhere, go see her. She's an inspiration, an absolute inspiration. She's out in Oregon, but her site's right there on your computer, you know, and she'll send you an email. Dr. Elaning. She spoke at the 1997 CFSA conference at the Highland Lake Inn, and people walked out of there going, that was a spiritual experience. And it really is. I mean, the connections are incredible. I'd love to give you examples. I don't have time. I'm going to discipline myself. Catch me afterwards. Try and turn me off. It'll be hard. Countryside is another natural products company that we can order from. I think they're probably not competitive with Seven Springs unless you're ordering chicken feed from them. And then all of a sudden, it's a way to get your shipping real cheap. When I bought chicken feed from them, then I could order any amendment and just throw it on the pallet, and I saved lots of money. You know, but they carry all the same kinds of amendments that Seven Springs Farm Supply carries. They don't carry the row cover and stuff like that. You know, and then the next 2 sites are Cornell sites, and actually, I think I was trying to get you a different one. Explore Cornell. They have some of the better sites. They're not organic, so pick and choose. But they've got great sites for IDing diseases, IDing insects. Just like, you know, get into Cornell, biochar. It's a good, you know, probably most of the university sites are pretty good, but Cornell is special. NCDA is pretty special too, not to slight them actually, but I don't happen to have their site on.
Cornell's is into the 2nd year of an experiment in
I'm filming right
Virginia,
now.
which is just north of Mount Airy. It's just like
still
here in terms of
filming.
elevation. They got 150 acres of broccoli
right,
using their varieties and trying to show that we can raise on a production basis broccoli.
Well, actually, talk to Dr. Rich McDonald. They're already doing it in Avery County.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, totally. I mean, Richard just, you know, they hundreds of thousands of pounds they've cranked out up there.
Well, this is being done in conjunction with Virginia Tech, and it's a huge project.
Right. Well, and Richard's tied into Virginia Tech. Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's the same thing then. Yeah, the ground baking was done, I think, with Virginia Tech on that one. But whatever. I give credit where I'm prejudiced, probably. Okay, plastic. Maybe you can get plastic at Waste Stream Innovations, but it's not an easy row to hoe. But it's cheap if you do get it that way. But if not, right up the road here, Ray's Supply carries it. They also carry row cover and all kinds of other fabrics. They used to be much less successful and have much more stuff, and I liked them a lot more. You know, it used to be a real treasure hunt to go in there and find the different thicknesses of fabric. Now it's all more regular, and then they're making much more money, of course, you know, but it's not as much fun to shop for them. But they still have lots of stuff, and they're a good place to get the staples we use. They're not the best place. If you're ever headed to Burnsville, Parker Farm Supply, best place for staples. I mean, if you're trying to save money. They're the same staples, and they're about $5 cheaper than anywhere else. But don't buy your staples from the catalogs. They give you like, I don't know, 300 for $7 or $8 or something, or just like, they charge a lot. And it's many cents per staple. If you buy them by the 1,000, they're much cheaper. And you may say, I'll never use 1,000. Split a box with somebody else, you know? But cut your prices. Also, Troy's Greenhouse, if you're in the Burnsville area, he competes with Walmart and stays in business. He's usually the cheapest price for anything you're going to buy. He doesn't understand organic, but he supports it, so he'll work with you, but he can't necessarily answer some of your questions. Give him notice, he can get you almost anything. You know, and that's where I said you can get the best price on baby white turnip seed anywhere that I know of. What was the name again? Troy's greenhouse. Wade's the man. Tell him I said, talk to Wade. Pat said talk to him. He'll be used to hearing that. Fifth Season is another place in Asheville. They sell by the foot, right?
Yep.
That's why I have both Troy's, Fifth Season, and Farm Tech on here, is because you can buy plastic by the foot. And that's real convenient for small growers that don't want to have to buy 100 feet and drop several $100. You know, you can buy just enough plastic to cover the size greenhouse we made today. Wade only has it in the fall. He waits till he gets a special break on the price. He buys a roll of 2 sizes, and then he's done. His sizes are usually too big. They're usually like 42 feet. So then what you do is you have him cut it to the 24-foot size, and you use the 42-foot size as your length. You know, and then you got it. You might have a little bit extra, but it works pretty good. What sizes do Parker, does Fifth Season carry?
They have narrower.
They've got the narrower, so you might want to do that. And if you live around Asheville, you're not going to save enough to drive all the way to Burnsville for it. Right. So Fifth Season is probably your best source. You can, if you don't live anywhere near any of these places, it's a pretty good price from Farm Tech. They're not a bad price. You got to really search their catalog to find the one roll that they'll cut by the foot. You know, but they will do it, and it's fine plastic. Okay. Ray's Bags also, by the way, carries the sandbags. And sandbags is a pretty convenient way to hold down plastic. It's convenient once you've made the sandbags. It's not nearly as convenient as staples before you make the sandbags. It's a lot of work. But it works pretty well once you have them, and they last a long time. 9-gauge wire. You can get it pretty cost effectively at the box kind of building stores. It might cost you more at a hardware store. You don't want a little roll like this. It's going to cost you too much money. You want the 75-foot big rolls. You know, I just got it yesterday at there, and we left it over at the site. Darn it, I got to go back over there and get it to do demos. But I just got it at Lowe's last night, and it was $23 for 75 feet, which makes about 23 hoops. So it cost you, you know, about $1 a hoop. You know. By the way, you can buy those fiberglass things if you get them when the shipping is coming here from Seven Springs. You can buy them for about $1 a fiberglass hoop tube. What you need to know about the fiberglass: don't use it without gloves. You have to use it with gloves. Now, okay, great, we got that. Okay, so then we got to cut these into here. I could do that while I talk, probably, and I might even have a finger left when I'm done. Actually, we're going to take these out and layer the salad in with the sliced things. If you'll set that down, actually, first dump all the water you can out of it. Yeah. And I'll keep talking while we're getting the water out. Okay. Let's see here. 9-gauge wire. 9-gauge wire, you can cut it either with bolt cutters. It's harder, but if you have one of those fencing tools, the people know the fencing tools, that'll work. You can even do it with good, big, strong pliers, but it's not as easy. You know?
So that's what you make the hoops out of?
That's what we made a lot of the hoops out of. That and the fiberglass are what our hoops are made out of. But I have a few hoops made out of rebar. You can see they're not some hoops. They're like Gothic to shed more snow. I made those for strawberries. They're too low for much else. But you can use rebar, and they'll last forever, and they won't collapse in the snow. You can use PVC. If you use PVC, you would drive rebar in the ground, or one time when we were cheap, we just cut saplings and cut them at an angle and drove saplings in the ground, and did that. You can even use the black pipe, but that's going to collapse under the least amount of snow. And when we get out there, we'll talk about different ways to strengthen that and make it less likely to collapse. But I can tell you right now, a strategy that we use sometimes is if we know it's going to snow, we just take the cover off and let the snow cover the plants and insulate it. The thing to remember is the way it usually works is it snows, you get an accumulation, it's nice and warm, you can go out there and cover things back up again if you remember to do it. If you don't, the next day it melts. It uncovers your plants, which are covered by the snow, but it doesn't all melt off of the fabric, and then it freezes and you can't cover it. And that night, because it's not snowing, it goes to 18 and all your plants die. So uncovering it and forgetting it is not a workable strategy. You'd be better off to leave it on and have it collapse. You get some damage, but you won't lose it, But if you uncover it and then go out there and pull the cover over it after the snow, you have added insulation, you got the moisture, which the plants will love, and then you're in fine shape. So that's what I recommend.
What's your plan here?
Just toss a bunch in there, and you can tear it up some. Yeah, tear it up some. Yeah. And then we'll slice the other vegetables into it, put the salad dressing on it, and eat. You know. Okay, let's see. Where am I here? Oh, you can also get concrete reinforcing supplies at Lowe's or any other hardware store. And it was a revelation to me when I first learned about and if you do construction, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, you can buy these pieces of wires with two little loops on the end and a tool to grab them with and give it a twist, and they tie things. And you can really quickly make a bunch of wire ties. So if you wanted to, you can make things much stronger with this concrete reinforcing tool. They use it to tie rebar in place.
Ray's has that.
Ray's has that. Most hardware stores, I think Lowe's even has it. You know, it's a wonderful tool. Do you use that much, Baron?
It looks like a.
I personally don't use them.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I've got them. I don't.